Despite many content and explanations being available, there is still a one misconception that obtaining a second passport or second residence is only available to wealthy individuals. And in today's video, we're going to talk about some of the options where you can set up your second residence, where you can potentially get a second citizenship down the road without needing to rob a bank. Hello, I'm Jovana, a Director of Business Development here at Nomad Capitalist, where we help 7- and 8-figure entrepreneurs and their families legally reduce their taxes, change their lifestyle, and obtain multiple residence and citizenships. And in today's video, we're going to discuss some of the options that you can use to establish a second residence and potentially get a second citizenship down the road. Latin America, notably best place for affordable residence options that brings you passport a couple years down the road. And also, in most of those places, naturalization time is not that long compared to European Union. It's shorter compared to Asia. Central America and South America is the region to look into. And contrary to many misconceptions, those passports are actually fairly good. Some of those passports do have very unique travel privileges. Also, some of the countries are part of Mercosur, which is kind of South America's version of European Union, but it does give you access to multiple different countries, freedom to work and travel in those countries, so you don't have to be very concerned about that. Obviously, CARICOM, the same union of Caribbean nations, also gives you very similar privileges if you have a CARICOM passport. One of the places that has been really popular in the last couple of years, and with a reason, is Mexico. So obtaining a second residence in Mexico is extremely easy. You really just need to demonstrate that you do have enough funds to support you and your dependent, if they are included in the country. You can choose between getting a temporary residence with a lower entry point or a permanent residence with higher entry point. The numbers usually depend on your local embassy. Demonstrating those pretty easy. You basically submit bank statements or contract, anything that proves that you do have that money on your accounts that is coming regularly, and you are good to go. The process itself is fairly easy, but Mexican residence does not come with physical presence, so you don't have to spend much time in Mexico if you don't like it. If you just want to have it as a paper residence, put it in your pocket, forget about that unless you need it. If you do want citizenship down the road, that's definitely an option. Mexican citizenship is generally available after 5 years plus processing time. So it is definitely close to 6.5 years. There are certain exemptions, like if you're married to Mexican, have a descent, have a Mexican-born kid, there are some benefits that you can get for yourself. Luckily, Mexico is still a relatively affordable place. Obviously, we have seen it in the last couple of years. Prices have increased in Mexico, specifically in some areas that are more expat friendly. Also, the country that has been really popular in the last couple of years, specifically after pandemic, has been Costa Rica. Huge number of expats are choosing Costa Rica because it is affordable. It has a very interesting Pura Vida lifestyle, and also it had a good tax system. Costa Rica is a very similar thing as with Mexico. You can get a residence permit, but demonstrating that you do have sufficient funds to support yourself. Costa Rican citizenship is available after 7 years, not as fast as Mexican. It is slightly lower rated than Mexican citizenship. But Costa Rica, compared to Mexico, still is a territorial tax country, meaning that your offshore income is not taxable in Costa Rica if you are spending more than 183 days or have closer connections with Costa Rica and become a tax resident. That is changing. Ecuador, one of very interesting and unique places for residents. There is affordable options. Again, very similar deal as with two previous. you need to demonstrate that you have enough funds to support yourself. That is slightly less than $1,500 per month. And something additionally for your dependents. Obviously, Ecuador does have different options with investing in real estate, and even those are not super expensive. So if that's something that you are interested in, you would like to know more about how to get Ecuadorian residence permit and citizenship, write us down in comments, and we're happy to make a video on that one. Ecuador does give you a citizenship relatively fast. I mean, compared to Costa Rica, Mexico, you're getting it faster, but it does require more physical presence on the ground. So this is not the option for those that are not interested in spending time there. You actually will need to spend a lot of time in Ecuador, even more than 6 months per year, in order to get Ecuadorian citizenship after 4 years. Very interesting country, again, gaining a lot of popularity right now. Paraguay, very affordable because it is still somewhat underrated. Paraguay also does have self-sufficient visa that gives you a residence permit, temporary residence permit in Paraguay by demonstrating that you do have enough funds to support yourself. You can also choose for investor visa that is $70,000. You can invest that money over the course of 10 years into business. So if you're interested in some of Paraguayan business opportunities, that might be an option to go. Paraguay, very tax-friendly country. Generally, tax rates are low, business and personal, plus it is territorial tax country, and it will stay that way. So Paraguay is really into this laissez-faire economy, basically America in the 50s. They let you do your thing. They don't impose high taxes on you personally or business-wise, and give you certain autonomy, basically to run your life the way you want. Paraguay also does have a bunch of tax exemptions in different zones for companies or for certain products and certain services, and can bring you one of the world's uniquest passports in 3 years, obviously, plus some processing time. You will need to learn Spanish, but in general, that's not hard, especially if you are living there. One of very interesting options, very affordable, is Georgia. We spoke about Georgia so many times on this channel, but you can spend up to a year in Georgia on tourist visa. After that, you will need a residence permit that is affordable, and living there is affordable compared to many other countries. So that one is interesting. Armenia was interesting for many people. Unfortunately, Armenia does have a territorial dispute. So though Armenia is still very safe, people do not feel comfortable living there. Again, it is very affordable. You can get a passport relatively easy. It's 3 years down the road, but it's not everyone's cup of tea, obviously, due to that territorial dispute. Looking into Asia, Thailand and Indonesia have been very strong destinations for affordable second residence. Philippines as well. Obviously, citizenship in those is not very easy. Philippines does have certain requirements in terms of who can get residence permit. They're nowadays giving it to retired people that are over 50 years old. But Thailand and Indonesia are way more flexible. So if you would like to know more details about all of these countries and what are those do's and don'ts and how you can start a process in those countries and what is something that you need to pay attention to, we have our annual event, Nomad Capitalist Live, happening next year. Waiting lists are open. So if you're interested in participating there and hearing all of those details that might not necessarily be on this channel, go nomadcapitalist.com and sign in on our waiting list.